Happy Wednesday, everyone, and happy snow day. Hopefully, you are all enjoying the comforts of your home rather than braving the crazy roads that are out there today. It sounds like you guys got even more snow than I did here in Spanish Fork. We had about 6 or 7 inches this morning when I woke up. Um, as you know, today was going to be a buyout day, and so many of the activities that I had planned originally for this lesson, I would have just told you about anyway. So know that you don't have to turn any of these things in, but they are definitely ways that you can improve your draft and get a better score on your final draft, which will be due on Friday. Remember, rewriting involves various stages, not just starting over or not just revising on your own. There's 3 things that you can do: relook, respond, and then revise. So these different, you can pick and choose from these slides which ones that you need extra help on. First of all, relooking. Remember that the word reflection is asking you to think about your own thinking. And so just make sure that is the purpose of your essay, that you're not storytelling, but you are reflecting on a series of situations or a singular situation and seeing how it has impacted you. Here is one. Sorry, I'm just closed my door. Here is one of the things that you can do between today and Friday. You can relook at your draft. I included an example of a section of E.B. White's 3rd and 6th draft of the first moonwalk. And I'd like you to take time just by clicking on it. I also put this link in the resource section, and see how professional writers relook and restructure later stage drafts. So it's only like a paragraph long, and it's actually quite insightful. Because you are not here with me, I included some cheat sheet notes in the teacher's notes on this slide for you to think about. So now, after looking at E.B. White's 3rd to 6th draft of a section of something that he had written, I want you to relook at a section of your essay. I think all of you will know where your essay is lacking something. And so make sure that you refer to your rubrics and you look at some of the suggestions from this slide that I gave you. What this asks you to do is to actually write a letter to yourself and answer each of these questions, and then share that letter with someone else if we had been in class today, of ways that as you relook at your draft, what still needs to be fixed. But you can definitely do this on your own. The second part of revision is actually responding to other people's writings. This is, I love this. Donald Murray is such a fabulous writer. He's known in English teacher circles as the man who teaches us how we can teach you to be better writers. And what I'd like you to do is just look at these 2 paragraphs from a selection of one of his reflective essays. And then with that in mind, use it as a tool for, if you were in class, to respond to others, but to respond to your own draft because you are home today. With this one, again, you don't need to do this activity. Just respond to in your own mind of ways that you can work on your paper between today and Friday. Of course, we're going to skip these slides since we are not in peer groups. If you have a friend, a buddy system, however, in the class or in one of the other sections, and you'd like to share in a Google Doc setting and get some feedback from a classmate. I think you know by now that those are critical in writing well. And it really is important in a paper, this type of a genre, because oftentimes if we have lived through something, gaps of significant moments are already in our heads. And if they're not on paper, we don't recognize that because we can fill in the gaps with the experience itself. But a fresh set of eyes, someone else looking at it, will be able to identify gaps in your writing really well. So think about sharing your work with a fellow classmate if you want to do that. Here are some questions to think about if you share your work. If you're not sharing it with someone else, you can also use these questions yourself. These are things that I look at in this type of an essay, so that's why I put them on here, and they tie back to your rubric. Once you've relooked and responded to your work, now you can go back to revising your third, your fourth, your fifth, whatever draft you are on. And these next series of slides are some activities to think about. On this slide, I'm not going to go over it because you can read it yourself. I put a lot of details on here to help you if you are at home. But just big picture, these are big picture things. Just making sure that when you rethink your thesis, does it come out clear? Remember, the goal is not to actually state it, but that it is definitely implied in this essay. These next sets of slides deal with polishing your work, and so just stop with each one and read. This first one deals with opening, making sure that you start at the right place. Nothing turns off a reader than just having to read 2 paragraphs to finally get to the point. So there's a link to a document with strategies of the perfect places to start essays, and it works really well for this type of a narrative/reflective essay. So you can use some of the information from the resource on this link. And then think about your first line. Did it work? The second one, this is E.M. Forster's famous novelist from England, and he said that it's good advice in the human community, but it's essential in writing. Make sure that what you are saying connects with your reader. That's why the broken arm story never really works for a good story for other people to read, because they don't really connect to that same broken bone. Just make sure that there is this universal aspect to what you are saying in your essay. The next activity talks about, I skipped one. The next one, activity 3, is kind of what ifs. I put some what if possibilities on here. This is some things that J.K. Rowling did a lot when she wrote Harry Potter. Lots of what if blanks. And thought of possibilities like, what if, with your own essay, what if I started at this point rather than this one? What if I use multiple experiences rather than just this one or two? So think about some what if possibilities of way that you could build more content and make your essay better. This next one talks about the importance of being specific, and I have an amazing example in the second half of this slide. When you read it, just read through it and then see how specific language is what we want to read as good readers. The next thing is activity 5, ask you again to look at editing your essay. Make sure again that you're following the CRPs of, basics MLA style that I put on the left side of this slide. And then on the other side, if you have any kind of flaw in your writing, this link to the Harvard website. We'll go over lots and lots of like subject verb problems and all of those editing details, mechanical details, conventional details that needs to be cleaned up before your final draft is submitted. This one is, we were going to talk today specifically about commas and using them with quotations, especially if you have dialogue. So you can read through these bullets, and I've given you some information to hopefully help you with all of your comma flaws. Another one is numbers. If you have any kind of numbers, there are lots of rules to follow with numbers. So I put some of them here for you. For example, you'll notice the word 94 people stood in line. It's spelled out because it's the first word of a sentence. So just kind of read through the instructions, especially if you have a number in your paper, so that you do that correctly. This next one, I always used to think that students, by the time they got to 12th grade, had mastered capitalization errors, but it's certainly not something, especially with texting, it's actually gotten worse. So you cannot make those errors in your final draft. Look over these types of things that should be capitalized and what should not be capitalized. For example, seasons should not be capitalized. The next activity is just reading your essay for conciseness and figuring out that every word needs to matter. And if I can say it in 8 words rather than 15, I want to say it in 8 words. So condense down and make every word count. And then just finally remember that on Friday, you are going to submit your final essay. Aren't you so excited? Your final essay for this class. And we will go to the lab to print them if you do not do that at home. So enjoy the snow. Spend time on your draft. You want to end the class strong. Remember, after our Christmas break, you're going to work on your e-portfolio, and so I'll have some activities and kind of work through each page of what I'm looking for to prepare you for that final. Our class final is where you present it to the entire class. So have a good day. And I am doing a Zoom session from 10 to 2. You're welcome to come on anytime with individual questions. I'll just add you to the discussion as you come or go off. And again, it's not a 2-hour thing for this particular class. It's just for me to be available to help answer any of your questions. So we'll see you all on Friday.